Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the Naked 3 mini palette. I say it like that because I feel like this poor baby palette got so much hate on social media. Everybody was like, why? And I was over here in the corner like, yay! I was so excited. I actually really like the size of these Urban Decay mini palettes. The original Urban Decay Naked Mini I loved. Like, I used it to death. I hit pan on multiple shades. They're pretty sturdy containers, you know, for what they are, and they have a little mirror in there. The price point isn't horrible. It's $29 for 6 shades, but the color selection in this palette is really what got me going. I feel like the shades are just, they're just so perfect. I love rose golds, I love neutrals, I love cool toned neutrals, and I feel like this just, it screams my name. This is a spin-off of the original Naked 3, which is, you know, much bigger. I used to have that palette, but it got so old I had to get rid of it. And we're gonna test it out today. We're gonna play with it. We're gonna swatch it on my hand. We're gonna put it on my eyes. Okay, so here is what those shades look like. There is 4 mattes and 2 like kind of shimmer glitters. I'm not sure if they're sparkles or if they're just glitter, like chunky. We'll see once we swatch it, but I feel like that's a good matte to shimmer ratio. There's very wearable mattes in here. You got your dark one for liner or like accentuating. You got your more like beige for all over lid. You got perfect crease colors, a dark one and a light one. Okay, so let's start over here with the color Glassy. This is pretty close to my skin tone. There is a sheen to it. I thought it was matte, but there's a little bit of a like satin sheen to it. It's very pretty. I still think it would work as an all over lid color, possibly a highlighting color depending on how you want to use it. Next to it is Public. This is going to be your rose gold glitter in the palette. This one did feel like it had chunky glitter in it. I think it'll probably have some fallout on the eyes. I'm going to use it so we can test it out, but it's a beautiful color. It's just there was a lot of texture as I was swatching it. Next up is the color Laced Up. I was really excited about this when I saw it in the pan. It swatched horribly though. I had to build it up quite a bit. This was like 5 or 6 swipes and dips back in the pan, but it is the perfect like rosy neutral crease color. That's what I'm gonna use it for at least. So I'm hopeful that it swatches better on the eyes, but it was a little bit fussy to work with. Next to that is the color Stolen. This one had less texture than the color Public over here, but there is definitely some glitter, some sparkle, some shimmer in there. I'm trying to stay in focus here, guys. This one would also be good for all over the lid if you want a darker color than this. So we'll play with both of those and see which one we like better. The color Right Time is next. That's the like mid-toned matte brown in the palette. It's a lot darker swatched than it is in the pan. It shocked me when I swatched it. It swatched beautifully, but I was like, whoa. I was not expecting it to be that dark. So there's that one. And then the last one is the color Spiced, which is the darkest of the palette. This one is matte. It didn't swatch very well. I had to build it up a little bit, but that's kind of better for darker colors in my opinion, because then you don't like go overboard and mess them up. Okay, let's start with a large fluffy brush and the color Glassy. I'm gonna just put this all over my lid to get a good base going. I do have a primer on my eyelids, but that is it. Okay, next I'm gonna go into Laced Up, which is that kind of like fussy, like mauve-y, light brown neutral color. This is gonna go in my crease, so I have a much smaller blending brush here. It definitely is applying a lot better on the eyes than it did swatched, so that's good. Sometimes hand swatches, you know, you can't always trust them. They're not always super accurate as far as application goes. Yeah, that definitely, it's light, you do have to build it up. Okay, with the same brush, I'm gonna go into Right Time, which is the like mid-toned, cool, almost like grayish taupey brown. That's matte. This one's really dark. So I'm just gonna dot it here on like the outer half of my crease so I don't go overboard on accident. Okay, going in with the flat shader brush, I'm gonna start with, you know what, I'm gonna start with Stolen, which is the darker glitter. And then I'm gonna dot Public in the middle. I just have this feeling like Public is gonna be, it's gonna have fallout, which is fine. But I'm probably gonna have to use like a wet brush. In fact, a lot of shimmers like this, you do tend to have to use a wet brush. Lots of fallout. Okay, let's wet it. I'm gonna flick the fallout away, and then I'm gonna just wet my brush. Definitely more pigment with a wet brush. This is a really pretty color. I definitely got some hard pan on my pan from the wet brush. So some shades do that, some shades don't. I mean, it's kind of normal for eyeshadows to do that. It just, you gotta scrape it off next time you use the shadow. So I'm gonna wet my brush again and I'm gonna go back into Public. I'm not even gonna try it with the dry brush because I know it's just gonna be a disaster. And I'm gonna just dot this kind of in the inner corner. I feel like I should have tried it on its own instead of on top of this one because I feel like the colors just kind of blend together and I'm not truly seeing what Public looks like on its own. I feel like that would just be a color I would love. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Laced Up and just kind of touch up this crease a little bit. Sometimes when you do an all over lid color, stuff gets messy. And then I'm gonna get a more dense, let's see which one. I'm gonna use this big daddy dense brush and go in with Spiced, which is the darkest color. So we're using every single shade today. And I'm just gonna dot it on like the outer, see how much that like just darkens up the eye look? I'm just gonna dot it. That's why these darker colors, when they're not as pigmented, it's better, like it's just easier to work with because you can build it up. You don't have to worry about so much fallout and messing things up. I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush and the color Right Time, which is the more mid-toned matte in the palette. And I'm gonna put that on my lower lid, I guess. Not waterline, not like inside of my eye, but just the lower lid. So here's the final look before liner and lashes. I really like it. I mean, yeah, it's not super duper deep, it's not crazy smoky, but you probably could tell by looking at the palette that you wouldn't get a look like that, you know? I think it's pretty wearable. It's good for fall, it's good for winter. I mean, it's good year round if you like those rose gold pinky shades. You could definitely make it a lot darker if you wanted to with, you know, going into that darker color and just really building up this outer portion if you really wanted to like make your eyes stand out. So I'm gonna actually throw on some liner and I think I'm gonna do falsies today. I haven't worn falsies in a long time and I'm just kind of feeling it. So and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so here's the final look with the lashes and the whole shebang. I actually really like it a lot. I can see myself using this palette over and over again. It's definitely going to be a favorite of mine. One thing I did do that I'll mention, so I put falsies on, I lined it with a liquid liner, and then I went in with this darkest color Spice and like a smudge brush and just kind of like outlined the line just to kind of buff it out a little bit so it wasn't such a harsh like line. Sometimes I do that with falsies, sometimes I don't, so today I did. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I recommend it. There was a couple of fussy colors in the palette. It's not gonna be, you know, your Natasha Denona that basically applies itself. You're gonna have to put a tiny bit of work into it, but I do like the color selection a lot. So that's my thoughts on the Naked 3 mini palette. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!